Hello and welcome to the Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen. I'm Matt Mercer, instructor for the Pathfinder School and the founder of the Black Hat Bushcraft channel right here on YouTube. And this afternoon I've come out to my family's land, and out in the edge of these woods here we have a little irrigation pond. And I figured while it's still winter and everything's kind of died back, it'd be a perfect time to come down here and clear out around that pond, make some nice clear fishing spots so that when the spring comes I can bring my daughter and my family down here and we can do a little fishing. So again, I thought today I'd drive the truck right down here to the edge of the woods, bring out my gear, clear up some spots, and while I'm down here, of course, I want to cook up a nice, delicious lunch. Now, since I'm able to drive my truck right here to the edge of the woods where the pond is, I've got along in the back my chuck box, has all my Pathfinder outdoor cooking gear. I've got a 2-burner propane stove and all the ingredients I need to cook up a delicious meal right here on the edge of the pond. So according to tradition, anytime I cook up a new subscriber submitted recipe here on Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen, we of course have yet a new winner for some free Pathfinder outdoor cooking gear that will come straight to you from Self-Reliance Outfitters. Today I'm going to be cooking up a delicious recipe for Camp Jambalaya, and this was submitted to us by Thomas Barreto. Thomas, congratulations, and I hope that you will enjoy your free Pathfinder cooking gear that will come to you soon, and I'm looking forward to enjoying this delicious recipe you've submitted to us for a hot and spicy Camp Jambalaya. This will be a perfect food for a crisp afternoon here out in the field. Warm me up from the inside out. Let's get started on prepping this Camp Jambalaya recipe right now. So this afternoon I'll be utilizing my Pathfinder folding stainless skillet. Inside the skillet here I just have my Pathfinder little stainless plate. Love this thing and always keep it with me in my pack. We'll go ahead and fold out our handle, lock that thing in place, and that's ready to go. I'll also be utilizing the Pathfinder 64-ounce stainless bush pot. This is one of my MVPs, especially this time of year. I use it for so many recipes, for boiling water. It's just a great camp container to have, one that always comes in useful. So in the original recipe, Thomas calls for Knorr red beans and rice. At my store, I couldn't find that brand, so I've got Zatarain's red beans and rice. We're going to start this up with some water in the Pathfinder bush pot. And in the skillet, we're going to be cooking up this delicious Cajun sausage. We'll also be cooking up some fresh shrimp I brought along, dice up some onions and some minced garlic in there, and that's going to be full of flavor. Let's get the stove lit, and let's get this food cooking. I'm definitely ready. So I've got my possibles pouch here, right on top. I've got my lighter, and that's the way we'll light up this stove. So to start with, I'm just going to light one burner up, and that's where we can get our red beans and rice going. While that's going, I'll be cutting up the stuff that I'm going to cook up in the skillet. Now, this Zatarain's red beans and rice calls for 3 cups of water. And this standard bottle of water is 16 ounces. So if we do 1 bottle and a half, we should be right about where we need to be. That looks about right. I'll go ahead and place the lid on my bush pot, and hopefully if I look away for a couple minutes that'll start to boil. As you know, a watch pot, it never seems to boil. All right, let's go ahead and open up our sausage and get that cut down a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and use half this sausage for this recipe since it's just for me. And also there's going to be shrimp, beans, and rice. That's going to be a lot of food for just me. So I'm going to cut this stuff down into just slices. And we'll have that ready to go once our onions soften up. Then we can throw this stuff in the pan with the shrimp. This stuff smells fantastic. of course, if you didn't have this exact brand of sausage, you could use any smoked sausage. Hillshire Farms is great. This stuff just has a little extra flavor in it. But again, any sausage would do. I think we've got boiling water over here in our pot, so we're going to add our red beans and rice in. Oh yeah, we got a nice rolling boil there. I'm going to add just a little bit of oil. About a tablespoon to that. It'll help keep our rice from being quite so sticky. We have our Zatarans, red beans and rice here. Stuff's in a secondary bag. Open that up. Man, that stuff smells good too. A lot of seasoning in that. All right, so we just have that stuff there. We're going to add to the pot. Man, there's a lot of flavor in that. I can tell it's full of seasoning. Give that a good stir. This is going to be a great hearty meal, I believe. I'm going to turn that stuff down just a little bit to a simmer. Alright, so this recipe calls for 1 medium onion, and that's exactly what I have here. I'm going to just go ahead and process this down. And to be honest with you, I might could get away with half this onion. I'm kind of keeping the recipe pretty light. I'm using half of the sausage that I brought. But I'm going to go ahead and cut up the whole onion. We'll see how it looks. And just dice this thing up. Dice the second half up here. This is just yellow onion. I tend to use yellow onion in my recipes or sweet Vidalia onion, just depending on what it is I'm cooking. We'll go ahead and put this whole thing in the skillet with some olive oil. I'm also going to be adding in some minced garlic. Now, obviously I could bring fresh garlic and mince that up in the field, but I already had this jar at home in the pantry. So being as I'm on my truck tailgating, it's simple to bring this along. It's not like I have to carry the extra weight. So we're going to add that into the pan as well. I have my skillet right here. And just take this whole cutting board full of onion. Just rake that off in there. Right, and with this, the recipe I think calls for 1 big tablespoon of it. So I'm going to add a big tablespoon, and it says you can add a little extra, and I think I want a little extra. Because that stuff is good, and it adds a lot of flavor to the recipe. So that should be good. And now, the last thing is we need to add in some olive oil. And I like to add in a little extra olive oil when we're cooking in the stainless skillet just to help coat those onions good. Kind of keep it from sticking to the bottom of the pan. Alright, that looks good. We'll get that second burner fired up. And we'll get this stuff cooked down. Once these onions are translucent, we can see through them. And we'll add in the sausage and the shrimp. And some magic's going to happen. Alright, so we've given this skillet just a minute to get hot. You can see we're starting to get a little bit of sizzling there. I've got this burner turned down as low as I can. I want to make sure not to burn this stuff. And that can happen in a stainless skillet on a propane stove like this. That burner can be pretty hot. So we always want to be careful when we're using stainless gear on a commercial stove like this. My problem is today I'm trying to balance between the wind blowing the burner out and the burner being too hot. So I'm just trying to balance all that out here. We already got a nice sizzle in the skillet. This stuff's cooking up fast, and the smell of it is just fantastic. It smells so good. That onion and garlic together. Something special happens when you put onion and garlic together in a pan like that, start cooking it down. So I'm being really careful with this red beans and rice to make sure that I'm not burning that stuff on the bottom of the pan. I'm just constantly getting in there with that spatula right around that corner. That stuff's really starting to look good. It's thickening up. It'd be hard to see down in there. But you can tell that the beans are starting to swell. The rice is starting to plump up. So that's moving right along. I bet you guys can almost smell that, right? I haven't done enough sampling on this show. But that stuff tastes good. Anytime you're sitting here cooking, whether it be on a stove or a fire, and you're smelling that food cooking out here in the field, there's something special about that. It gets your appetite going like nothing will. I think I'm gonna add just a touch more of this olive oil here. Just want to make sure to keep that stuff from sticking on the pan. It's coming along good. By the way, do you guys have a favorite recipe that you like to enjoy out in the woods or while spending time in camp? If so, make sure to submit that recipe to the email address listed down below, and we'll enter that recipe into our data bank. Anytime I come out to film a new episode of Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen, I pull from that data bank of recipes, and if we select your recipe to be featured on our show, you will receive a care package from Self-Reliance Outfitters with all of the Pathfinder cooking gear that I use to prepare that recipe. So make sure to get those recipes submitted over, and you just might be our next winner. All right, so I'm thinking it's about time to add our sausage and shrimp into the pan. And just looking at this, it looks like there might be a little excess of onion. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of dump some of that stuff out into a side dish. I kind of hate pulling that out of the pan, but honestly, I just think we got more than needed. I guess that's always a good situation, right? And now, I'm gonna come in here and we'll add our shrimp in. And we'll go ahead and add the sausage too. We'll put the sausage on one side, the shrimp on the other. The sausage is pre-cooked, so just basically heating that stuff up. So adding all that cold meat into the pan, it's kind of cooled the skillet off for a minute, so I'm just replace the lid. We'll let that heat back up for just a minute. All right, let's take one more look at the skillet. Man, oh man, that is just beautiful right there. I'd say this stuff is ready. What I'm gonna do is pull my bush pot over here. I've turned off the other burner. We'll go ahead and add the skillet into the bush pot. Try not to spill anything. Now the last thing we have to add to the pot is going to be some crushed red pepper. Of course, I got to add a little red pepper down in there. Keep it light on that stuff. It'll sneak up on you. Alright, so at this point I have to be careful not to burn this jambalaya and keep that stuff moving, because that rice and beans likes to stick to the bottom of the pot. I've tried to turn this burner down as low as I can go with it. This stuff just looks amazing. Try to let you guys see down in there. It's a lot of flavor in that pot right now. I think this stuff is pretty much ready. What I'm going to do is turn off the burner. I'm going to just replace the top and let it sit here for a few minutes and kind of stew together. We'll be ready to eat. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes since I turned off this burner, and I've just let this jambalaya sit here and just kind of let the flavors mesh. And boy, I'm gonna tell you, I know I keep saying it, but that stuff looks so good. And I'm gonna go ahead and serve some of it out here on my plate so we can take a look at it. Make sure I get plenty of rice and red beans. Man, oh man. See that stuff steaming on a cold day. I just don't know that it gets better than this. We're about to find out. And of course, on the Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen, you guys know we have to have an official meal reveal. Oh man, look at that hot jambalaya on a cold day. Look at all that sausage, shrimp, red beans, rice, and all that spice. Man, this is gonna be nice. Let's test this stuff out. All right, so anytime I'm out here filming an episode of Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen, it means I get to enjoy a delicious hot meal right here in the woods or out in the field where I love to be, and I always like to take a moment and give thanks for that. All right, so it's time to give this jambalaya the good old taste test. I'm gonna start right off with a piece of sausage. Man, that is delicious. There's just something about a hot and spicy meal on a cold day. It just kind of gives you that warm feeling on the inside. Got a hold of one of those shrimp. Cooked up perfect. Nice and tender. Now, I know that there's a lot of people out there that are maybe connoisseurs of jambalaya, and this may not meet some standard that it's supposed to meet, but for me, out here in the woods, it meets all of my specifications and then some. It's hot, it's hearty, spicy, delicious. So, you guys know that I always feel guilty when I'm doing the two things my mama told me not to do: talk with my mouth full, and I should never eat in front of friends without offering them some. It's a nice crunchy shrimp right there. How about a piece of sausage? You guys take a bite. Sure wish I could share with you, because this stuff is mighty good. Can't quit eating long enough to talk. So I know I've said this before, but this might just be one of my favorite recipes I've cooked yet here on Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen. And once again, I'd like to thank Thomas for submitting this one. I think it's an excellent recipe, especially in a situation where you're in a base camp or when you have access to your vehicle, or at least conveyance, where you have a stove and you can carry multiple containers like a frying pan and the bush pot and a lot of extra ingredients like that. I think this is an excellent fall, winter recipe. Hot, spicy. It's good for that. Of course, it's good anytime, but especially for those seasons, those colder seasons like right now. So this is definitely, in my opinion, a do-againer. So I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to tune in for this episode of Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this simple camp jambalaya recipe. Most of all, I hope you guys will get a chance to get out in the woods or out in the field soon and cook yourself up some of this camp jambalaya. I hope if you guys have a favorite recipe that you'll go ahead and submit that to the email address listed down below. I love having the chance to try new recipes out here in the woods, whether it be on a tailgate or by a campfire. It's just always fun to me to cook up something good and enjoy it out here in the great outdoors. If you guys have not subscribed to the Self-Reliance Outfitters channel, I ask you to go ahead and click that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. And if you'd like to see more content from me, I hope you'll go over and check out my personal channel, which is Black Hat Bushcraft, right here on YouTube. There's tons of bushcrafting videos, survival skills, campfire cooking, just tons of content. So go and check me out there, and I'd love to see you guys make some comments and visit me over on my channel. Thank you guys again. We look forward to talking to you again with another recipe and more camp cooking very soon. From all of us here at Self-Reliance Outfitters, you guys take care and be safe. If you don't mind me, I'm going back for seconds, maybe even thirds. Heck, I'm gonna clean the pot.